there, welcome to my channel. I'm Buffy and this is Buffy Designs, where I take thrift store finds and turn them into updated home decor. If you are new here and you like farmhouse, country, a little eclectic type decor, and you love to redo and DIY projects, then you're in the right place. Today is Thrift Flip Thursday, hosted by Shayna and Savannah and co-hosted by Amber. I will link their channels below, and there's a playlist that you won't want to miss, and I'll go over more of that later in the video. DIY number 1, part 2 of that dresser makeover. So if you've been watching my channel, then you know I picked this vintage dresser up for only $20, and I am redoing it and changing it into a TV stand. And here are some clips of the part 1 video that I will have the link down below, so you can check that video out too and see how I created the colors on the drawers and everything, and get you caught up for part 2. And then you'll know exactly how I did this dresser. Okay, look at this paint on here. It turned out so pretty on the little detail. I'm just wet distressing, starting on here and getting all of the grooves. Here I'm getting the detail in the lower part of the dresser with the wet distressing. And that part was a little bit more difficult because I had so many layers of paint, but it did still come out so pretty. That black paint that I originally put on is coming through. Now that all the distressing is done on the drawers and everything, I am now putting a few coats of the polyacrylic on and saving that, so when anyone touches it or we use it, it won't have any fingerprints, or the paint won't rub off or flake off. And I can't forget that door. That's the best part of it. Now I'm just putting on the hardware on the door. That little key thing is so cute. A lot of cute detail on this dresser. Now the drawers are getting the pulls added. See how pretty. Here I'm just adding all the drawers back in now that I've got them all with the polyacrylic and the paint. Everything is done on them, putting it back together. Finishing the longer drawer pulls. Look how pretty the detail is on those. Those are so pretty. And just putting it together. And now just attaching that door to the hinge. That one was giving me a bit of a hassle, but I got it on there. Wow, look at this, how beautiful. I am so proud of this piece. Stay tuned to the end to see the final reveal. Okay, more about that Thrift Flip Thursday challenge. Shayna, Savannah, and Amber are all hosting a open playlist for all creators to be a part of. They are so wonderful to include everyone in their playlist to help boost them up, and anytime we have any questions, they're right there to answer. The challenge is to take a thrift store item or a yard sale item and transform it into something beautiful for your home for under $10. And stay tuned, because that's what's coming up next. DIY number 2, Thrift Flip Thursday project. Now for our Thrift Flip Thursday project. You will need a 8x10 wooden frame, 5x7 wooden frame, a rolling pin, wooden rolling pin, some wood pieces like those spikes there, and some extra wood. I used floor paneling, and then paint sticks and round wood balls. And so the total cost of my project is $9.30 because I had the spikes left over from my garden and the paint sticks already and the wood flooring. So I came under 10. So I'm just going to start unwrapping these, taking all of the paper off of them. They were brand new at the thrift store, so I lucked out on those. They were a great price. And then I'm just going to, once I get that off, I'm going to take out those little staple things that hold the pitcher and glass, everything in, because we won't need them. So I'm going to remove the glass and the cardboard piece out of there. And I'm going to do this to both of them. I'm just measuring out the wood flooring to be cut with the cardboard of the frame. This is the 8x10 and it fit almost exact on the width, so I just have to cut the length. And then the 5x7 I'm just measuring out there. So here we're going to glue those wood pieces I just cut to the bottom of each of the frames in where the glass would sit. I am using Gorilla Wood Glue, and I will have a list of everything I've used in this video down below, so if you want to purchase any of these items you can. So here I'm just cleaning up the wood so it won't show inside of the tiered tray part, and I'm just making sure that that's all nice and clean, and I'm putting a weight on it to make sure it stays down, and then I'm just gluing the second part on. This will be our bottom tray, the bigger one, and then the small one's going to be the top tray. And I really enjoyed this project. I really love how it turned out. So I ended up not using the thicker spiked wood for the bottom of this tray because it wasn't cutting right, and I ended up not really liking how the bottom was going to look with it. So I had 2 of the 5-gallon paint sticks that are thicker and wider that my husband found from somewhere at work, and so I cut those to size on the bottom 8x10 frame. So here I'm just gluing them down to the bottom, and this will give it some kind of decor look from the angle, the side angle, so it'll look really pretty. I'm just getting every single piece glued down, and it hides all of that bottom seam as well. Now that I had that sitting there drying, I'm starting on the top tray, the bottom of the top tray, with that thicker wood. I used my miter saw and did it like a frame on the bottom of that spiked wood. And so I'm just making sure it fit together, and I'm just gluing that down. I'm not the best with the miter saw, so there were some gaps. So if you have that problem, all you have to do is fill in those gaps with some of that wood filler, or spackling, or even caulking will work. See, here's some of that spackling that I told you about, and there were some gaps in the bottom of that larger tray or larger frame because it didn't quite fit exact, but I didn't want to waste it, so I thought it would be fine as long as I filled it in, which it was. And so I'm just, like I said, you just fill this in and smooth it out so that it fits in there snug and nice, and then let it dry, and it just dries hard, it just hardens. And then actually you want to, once you stick it in there, you want to make sure that all the surrounding area is wiped off before it dries, because it'll make a mess. But once it dries, it's really nice and smooth. So I measured the bottoms of each of those frames where I put the wood so that I could cut out those paint sticks to the size I needed, because I want to glue them down like here and make it like shiplap or like planks across the bottom. I thought that would hide all of the stuff that I don't want to see in there, and I think it made it look really pretty and gave it some character. So one was a little shaped different, so I had to move it over to the end so it would hide a little bit better. And then just make sure to clean off the glue, because you don't want that to come through or to be seen. So see how that spackling is showing there, and I had to sand this down so that I could make sure that it was going to adhere to it, because it had that varnish finish for the flooring. I forgot to show you that on the first one. So now I put the paint sticks down. It's going to hide all of that spackling part, any openings that are on there. So that helped out a lot. And one thing you want to make sure is when you glue these down, don't just let them sit and then do something else, because they will definitely bow and lift up and curve, and you don't want that. It happened to me, so I want to make sure that you know to put some paint cans on it or something to keep the pressure down. Here I'm just showing you where I had cut the different areas on that rolling pin, and I'm just sanding down the edges. I already drilled the holes on the top and bottom of the middle piece, and then the bottom of the top part, and now I'm putting glue in the holes and putting the wood dowel screw inside both sides. On the bottoms in the center of both of the trays, I drilled out holes for the dowel to fit through all the way through, and now I'm just gluing the dowel into that piece, putting it together and making sure that I get the glue down into the center of the hole so that it will glue really well to that dowel in case it comes undone. And then I did that to both sides, and then also I connected the bottom piece as well. Here you see it all put together, and now I'm using my Kilz brand paint that I have left over from the dresser, and I'll have that linked below as well. And I'm just painting the bottom here. I thought, you know, maybe I should have painted all of that beforehand, which now I learned, so you want to paint that before you put it all together. And then you could probably use some paint tape so that you can mask off the wood, the frame part, but it seemed like it was going to be more of a hassle because it would still probably bleed through, so I just was really careful with it. And I only did one coat of paint on everything because I kind of like seeing that wood come through, and then I was just going to put some stain over the top to kind of distress it anyway, so I kind of liked it that way. And you can do thicker, you know, paint layers, or you don't have to paint it, you can stain it and make it really pretty with the wood. You can do anything with this. That's the whole fun part of it. You make it to your liking and your style. And I just liked the dark wood with the white. I think that was gonna pop out and make it look really nice. These are those round wooden balls, and you can see the one part was cut where my husband had cut them for me. And I'm just giving these one coat of paint. I painted all 4 of them, and then I set them on the flat part to dry. And like I said, I'm not going to be perfect with them because I'm just going to end up distressing them anyway, and I like seeing that wood come through. Now I'm getting ready to paint underneath on both shelves that little wood piece that I added to both bottoms of the frames, and I'm trying not to get the paint on the bottom of the frame and show you at the same time, but I ended up painting them all and it still looked good. Here I'm showing you that I am painting the top portion only, so it's like the handle part that you would see on an old-fashioned rolling pin. And I'm just painting that, and later I'll distress it. To me, this was the fun part. I took the Folk Art antique wax and just darkened that already beautiful wood of the frame just to touch up any scuffs or anything and make it look nice and pretty. And then I took and sanded down the top part where the paint was, and just to rough it up and give it some character. And all of this was fun. I love the painting part of things because it changes things so much. And then now I'm getting that same antique wax and just brushing the same direction as the wood is going, and so it looks distressed that way. I originally thought I was going to sand everything that was painted down, but it wasn't going to show up like I wanted it to, so this really helped to bring out those streaks in the wood and where it was actually put together, so you could see the slots a lot better. And then I went in kind of dark, and then I just wiped it down with the wet cloth where I don't want it. And then the rolling pin body part of it was really light compared to the wood, and it was kind of too contrasty, and so I ended up putting some darker layers of that same stain on that too to darken it up, and that actually brought out some more definition of the wood on the rolling pin itself too. So that was really cool. And here I'm just wiping off that excess that I had on there, and then that's the good thing with this wax is you can put it on, wipe it off, put it on until you get the look that you want. And now I'm just putting it on the bottom and making sure all of that's covered. Now it's time for the wooden balls to get that wax distressing. It's so nice to use this. It just goes really quickly and it's easy to do, and it dries really fast. Of course, I did all 4. They have to match. And then here at the bottom, I'm just using that same wood glue to glue them down, and they held really well with that. You can also use a screw or a nail through the top part onto it and then cover up the hole later. But it was just, you know, too much for me. I think these hold up really well with the wood glue. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you are coming over to my channel from someone else's in the playlist, I am so grateful for you, and I hope that you subscribe and like my video, as well as comment below and tell me which one you liked the best. And if you are a subscriber, please check out that playlist and go check out those other amazing creators' videos. They put a lot of work into these, and I hope you will subscribe to them as well. Thank you so much. This has been fun. Have a great day.